Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to speak to you both today. An easy one to kick off with. What can people expect when they watch this amazing film, This Is Christmas?
They can expect lots of trains, but in a happy way. So not your kind of usual stress of the commute of trains in England, but no, it's a kind of, I think at the heart of it, it's a story about connections and people meeting around Christmas and talking to the strangers next to you, which being a Londoner is kind of a terrifying concept, but we try and make it magical.
Yeah, that's nice. I think we do, right? It's sort of a film that embraces a sense of community, which, you know, as Kaya said, maybe we don't always buy into collectively, but it presents a vision of what can happen if we do.
And I think, you know, sometimes with Christmas films, you know, the premise is really quite preposterous, but something I love about this one is it feels very grounded and very real. I guess particularly being a Brit who lives in London, gets on these sorts of trains, and even the sort of characters like all feel very well drawn and very true to life. What was the appeal for you when you read the script of jumping on board? And did you have a favourite Christmas film when you were growing up?
Ooh.
My favourite Christmas film is The Muppets Christmas Carol, but I can't figure out if that counts. It does, right?
Definitely. Absolute classic, yeah.
I'm gonna
something classier, but that's what it is.
That's classy, and that's a Christmas film. That's perfect, and you've absolutely nailed it. Whereas I'm thinking, what did I used to like watching? I mean, recently I was just saying to someone. Recently, I watched what I thought was a good idea of a Christmas film, Schindler's List. Which, there we go. That's the reaction I get when I say it. But it's because I think for me, Christmas films are about being able to watch a film in the day. So I want to watch an epic that really moves me, and kind of also is something when I get home at like whatever time at night, I go, you know, if we were like shooting in the summer and you got home and you were like, oh, let's put on Schindler's List, you would have been like, not a chance, right? Like, I need to go to bed. That's how many hours is that? So I think that's kind of part of it for me, watching a long, epic, kind of moving film, something that affects me. It doesn't...
See, and I said Muppets Christmas Carol. I told you were going to pick something classy, and I would have the cheesy one.
I love the contrast. And what can you tell us about each of your characters, about Adam and Emma? And I guess, you know, could you relate to them? And in particular, do you think you're the kind of person that would talk to a stranger on a train, or are you more kind of bury your head in a book or a newspaper and pretend that you haven't made eye contact with anyone?
Alfie would talk to everyone and charm them and be really friendly, and I would be shaking in the corner.
That is not shaking in the corner. I've seen you talk to strangers and do it with great flair. And
no, I will say, you remember when the Olympics were in London and everyone was suddenly talking to each other on the tube, and it really was magical. It was like something had come over all Londoners, and now I do actually try and make an effort to talk to strangers on the train, because it is kind of fascinating, and I love people and I love Londoners, and so I do make a conscious effort. Lifts, no way. I'm terrified. If you're coming towards the lift and I'm in the lift, I'm closing the door. I can't handle social interactions in the lift. But on trains, I'm making an effort.
I love the idea of sort of rushing the lift. Oh, could you just button to be like, closed door, closed door, closed door. Be like, oh, community, Christmas.
Sorry, as a bitch.
Kai's right. I love talking to strangers. It is generally one of my. I find it interesting. I find people interesting. I'm that person on the tube who sits there looking at the other people.
You are, aren't you? Smiling to yourself.
I'm just going, that's interesting. I wonder what they're doing. What are they talking about? Oh, what language is that? Do you know what I mean? I'm just a curious person. So yeah, I'm all for it. And yeah, oh God, we forgot to answer. Adam and Emma, yes. Adam is, I think, at heart, an optimist who believes that people have more in common than they have things which divide them. And I think that's kind of, I think he believes in connection and he believes in community, and that's kind of the in a way the starting point for the for the film. That's kind of the kind of main thing, really, which was a really lovely thing to get on board with. That was, I suppose, that I read the script and I was just, I laughed, I cried. I was like, once you've done both of those things, you get to the end, you say, well, there's probably something here. So yeah, it was just obvious. Once I read it, I was like, obviously I want to do this. This is brilliant. So yeah, it was straightforward for me. How about Emma, Kai?
I think, yeah, everything that you said about Adam is what he draws out in Emma. I think she is kind of in a point in her life where she's a little bit lost. She's in a relationship that probably isn't the healthiest thing for her, but she doesn't quite see that. And this connection that she makes with Adam, this journey that she goes on with him, helping him, meeting all these people, kind of reminds her of who she used to be and who she wants to be again. So he kind of, helps her come out into her own a little bit as well.
And the other thing I love about the film is, obviously it's centering on your two characters, but as the film, goes on, kind of all these other characters come into the mix, and and you've got this amazing cast as well, like Timothy Spall and Joanna Scanlon. So did you really kind of enjoy working alongside these people, and did you have a favorite moment on set?
It was cool. It was like every day there was someone new there, and we kind of, at the beginning of the shoot, we were kind of very much isolated in our relationships with whoever our scenes were with. And then the last week of filming was really great because we shot all the train carriage stuff in the last week. So we spent that kind of last week with everyone and kind of getting to know all these other actors and what they're like on set. And we stayed in a hotel a couple of nights. So we got to have dinner together. And it was an amazing opportunity to kind of sit around a table with all these great British actors that you really respect and have had all these different careers and just get to kind of discuss that. And, some of them, Jack Donahue, who's a bit younger, was just, you could just see him sat there with his eyes open, taking everything in and listening to everyone's stories and kind of getting this really unique opportunity to just see what everyone's path was that led them to where they are now. And that's really exciting and great. And no one was a prick, which was, probably good.
Always a big plus.
Always a big plus. You'd have to be a pretty big prick to be a prick on a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, normally it's me, but I just after about week one, I thought it's not really going to fly here. So
and for you, Alfred?
Yeah, it just was a joy. I mean, I suppose it meant like kind of talking about us shooting that last week and being in the hotel. That's kind of one of the beautiful things about the work we get to do, right? Is that you get to work with you get to talk to strangers, right? And not just talk to strangers, you get to know strangers, you get to, people aren't strangers for very long when you're making a film together, it can be a really intimate thing to do. You get to know people really well and you're working long hours and you're cheek by jowl and you're bound by a common purpose. You're trying to tell a story that will entertain people, that people will enjoy. So our train carriage, the whole thing was our little train carriage. We had our own little This Is Christmas journey with it. And and when you get to work with wonderful people whose work you know and respect, it's beautiful. I mean, I had so many sort of really enjoyable scenes that were just fantastic to do. Working with Claire was an absolute dream. I mean, she's fantastic, and we had a lovely time, or at least I did. Don't want to speak to you.
It was lovely.
But and it makes it special. Do you know what I mean? The process is when it's something you can cherish and go, that was a really special and beautiful time. It was time well spent.
Oh, well, I think I'm out of time, but thank you so much for sharing all that with me. And I really can't wait for everyone else to see this really heartwarming Christmas film. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye.